Hello, hello, Ederson Oliveira here for DNNHero.com, and I have, as usual, with me my partner in crime, Scott. Scott, how are you, man?
Hi, I'm doing good. Doing good. Growing
Good.
out the winter insulation right here.
Oh, don't talk about. Oh, I see the winter installation. No, that's your point there. I may use that tactic, but I'll not be as good looking as you, but I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So let's start with some of the news. Again, this is not such so new anymore, but the NN7.4 is out there,
hmm
and we we had a lot of DNN had a lot of contributions from the community on that release. There is a lot of things that were fixed, things that were changed, a lot of things uh, behind the scenes, things that are not that visible to users,
hmm
but users will definitely feel the enhancements. And first one here that I want to highlight is the workflow API. And I think that we have a lot to mention about the workflow. But let me
hmm
start with the Hangout that Joe and Will they have put together last February 4th, and
hmm
the Hangout was very much around the new release and very much around the workflow because Francesco Rivolla, he was the
hmm
one behind the new workflow implementation, and it was extensively discussed during that hangout. So again, there's no UI yet on the new workflow, but there is the API done already. So Scott, you had some stuff to mention about workflows.
Yeah, I was watching that hangout and, you know, I'm starting to put together a project right now. And yeah, I don't know about others who saw it, but it didn't really materialize for me. So I'm having a bit of a time to try to get this an actual functional project written around it. So I'm sure I'll be looking more at the file manager in the DNN source code and maybe the HTML module, the changes they made there to work through the API. This kind of comes together. I work for Blue Bolt, which is a sister company to PackFlash, and so I have had an opportunities to work a little bit on PackFlash, but clients have mentioned before that, hey, the workflow that's in PackFlash is completely different than the workflow that's in the HTML module. Well, yeah, because 2 or 3 years ago when PackFlash came out, we had to build our own workflow. I mean, there was no, even the HTML module had its own workflow, and the file manager then got its own workflow, and we have all these disconnected workflows, and they all work differently, and they all send different email templates. So I'm attempting to put a project together now that will solidify how to actually use this and how it fits together with the other modules that participate with it.
Perfect, because I had the same feeling during the Hangouts. I mean, Francesco
hmm
did a great job explaining and giving us a simple code there. But
Yeah.
I really like to visualize things from a very a use case scenario. I mean, this is a use case.
hmm
So how are we gonna translate that use case to a real implementation? So the
Yeah.
lines there were a little bit blurry to me, but again, I think that with what you're putting together to really give a very concrete scenario and a full project on that, I mean, it will definitely help quite a lot.
Oh,
So
I got my
that
son in the frame. Hey, we're on a meeting now.
I'm about to get the paper.
All right.
no
Well, he's
problem,
going to
no
get
problem.
some paper.
No worries, no worries.
Hey, these are live. That's what happens.
See, and we may cut, we may not cut. I mean, we'll talk through this, okay, Scott?
Yeah.
uh, okay, so this was one of the major points of the new 7.4 release. Aside from, and I will just mention two simple ones. Well, simple from where I'm standing, but I'm sure that whoever worked on that had a lot of work to do this. One was
hmm
that email authentication, it seems that there were some changes behind the scenes about the fact that you can use the email address to be the username on DNN. And before it was done in a way behind the scenes, and now it's done in a different way. I mean, now DNN will allow people to change their email address, and it will really change the email address instead of change the email address field, but not the username field. So again, there were some changes on that direction as well. There's a blog post on that. I will list the blog post here as well. Also, a blog post that I read from, I think it was Peter Donker. It seems that he was the one working on the event logging, that he has made some enhancements there, and now you will be able to query and to dig deeper into the event log without in a much easier way. Let's put it this way, without me getting too complex here. But again, that was one of the other enhancements done on 7.4.2. What else we have here? Okay, so again, that was a segue into the hangout that happened on February 7th, on February 4th. On that hangout, Brian Dukes was there. He is a big contributor to that 7.4 release too, and Francesco Ribolla as well. He was a big contributor on the workflow side of things. Yeah, so that's about that one. That's about the 7.4 release. I did install it. I gave it a try a little bit. Again, a lot of things were done, but let me just open here. See, not too much. Well, there were some HTML5 compliance markup, but again, nothing major in terms of nothing major from a UI point of view. I mean, that you can really see it. Again, I'm not underestimating what was done there. I'm just saying that whatever is visible, you cannot see much. You can feel the improvement though. Yeah, so that's about it. Just wanted to mention as well that during the Hangout, actually Joe mentioned that Scott has an open source module that integrates with Evoke, and again, Evoke 8 just came up as well. So, and I think that Scott has some things to mention about Evoke 8. Scott, go for it, man.
Yeah. I didn't even realize he mentioned that. Yeah, I just did a release of this module that what you're talking about is this social invite and registration module. Basically, it replaces it adds an invitation type thing to your Evoke, which ties into the game admin, which means you can award points to people who send invitations to join. So you're crowdsourcing in your own community, I guess, is what you're trying to promote that. And then you could get points if that person that you invite registers as a result of that invite. You can get points for that. So it's an open source module on Codeplex. I just re-released it. It was originally developed for like version 1 point whatever of Evoke. When I developed that it was originally a training tutorial for DNNCon 2013, and then it just turned into an actual open source project. But yeah, Evoke is interesting now. Evoke went from 2.01 straight to 8, and the idea behind that is DNN wants to start managing the Evoke release as the Evoke commercial products as the first out the door with that version number, and then trickle down, I guess, those changes to the community product. So running it much more like I guess you would call it a more standard open source / commercial project, how a lot of other companies that are commercial with open source do it. But a couple things that changed that we've been dealing with at Blue Bolt actually, and trying to train our younger developers, are a couple things. Number one, the marketing team at DNN decided to change the naming structure again. So now you have the upgrade path where what used to be Evoke Content is now Evoke Content Basic. Do they still show that? Yeah, Evoke Content Basic. So that's the upgrade path. Old Evoke Content Basic. Evoke Content Enterprise is now Evoke Content, okay? And Evoke Social or Suite is now Evoke Engage. So the marketing team went off on and decided to change the naming again. So just be aware of that when you're trying to figure out what the upgrade path is for a customer. That's what it is. The other thing is to mention is when Evoke went to 8, they took a lot of you've seen it, Anderson. We talked about this. A lot of front-end enhancements, a lot of administration enhancements. It's just very different from a front-end perspective. So we had one instance where one of our developers was about to upgrade one of our clients and was about to upgrade him to 7.4 because they were on 7.1 or something like that. And I said, no, we can't do that. We have to. They're a professional license, so we have to. We have to go as far as 7.3.4 because that's the last Evoke, the Evoke installation before they went to the new 8. So yeah, so if you want features of 7.4, you have to jump to 8. Evoke 8, and so what I'm telling all of our clients is, we want to make sure you buy in on the new, and are trained on the new admin interface of Evoke 8 before we go to make that jump. So we're pretty much stuck on 7.3.4 from an Evoke perspective until they're ready to make that jump.
But let me give my 2 cents there because. Mm-hmm. Because here's the thing. One is that talking about Evoke 8, I have done an interview pretty much about a month ago with, less than a month. It was right after they have released.
Yeah.
With Will Morganweg, and I have gone through Evoke, the Evoke interface before that interview, and here's the thing: the new interface, Scott. Is just applicable to the 2 new roles.
Oh, right.
That were created with Evoke 8, which is the content man. I may be mistaken with the terminology here, but one I think it's content manager. The other one is I think it's content editor. Yeah. So if you log in as one of those. As a user with one of those 2 roles, then you're going to see that new admin interface. You're going to see that persona bar. You're going to see all of that. Now, if you log in as a super user or as a traditional admin user of the site, then you're going to see the same bar at the top. Actually, let me explain that. I actually, when Will provided me a sample of Evoke, I logged in as super user and I said, okay, well, I cannot see the bar. Nothing has changed here. Where's that nice bar? And then he explained, no, you have to create a user under one of those two groups and log out and then log back in as that user. Then you're going to see that new persona bar. So again, for the high level users, the interface is still the same.
That's true. That's true. So again, you're right. And that is an interesting, I had trouble figuring that out. You actually cannot have the persona bar for an admin or super user. You have to have a non-admin user under those certain roles, like you said. Yeah, so that is true. Yeah.
Yeah. So the point is that for Evoke 8, there was no replacement. And again, that was never clear anywhere else. I mean, even under our presentations, they always presented the persona bar, and it was almost like, okay, so that old interface is all gone. It's not. It's all there. The host level and admin level, they are all there. Now again, that new environment, that new persona bar is just for those roles, and the concept is that for those roles, they need less stuff. They need to see less. They don't need that full-blown admin. They don't need to have that full-blown host, that bar at the top, So again, so I don't think that, again, you may want to revisit that with your guys there, because for those higher level users, there's not much difference, to be honest with you.
Yeah, okay. You know, that's true. Yeah.
Okay, so again, just a side note here about Evoke 8, which yeah, some of you may or may not use that, but now let's talk a little bit about DNN Connect 2015. I see a lot of people here from from North America going to that event, which will be done, which will be done on May 28th to May 31st. I will not be going, but Scott, you were telling me that you were going to that one.
I just registered. Yeah, I just registered and got my overall travel arranged, and so still got a little more work to do because it's in southern France, which is a little more difficult. It's in Malo, I think that's how you pronounce it, but yeah, I mean, you have to fly to either Paris or one of the other airports, or take a smaller flight or a train to Montpellier or somewhere, you know. So it's a little bit difficult to get to where it is. It's not right off one of the major train lines or near a major airport. Montpellier, I think, is the closest one. It's an hour and a half away, so that's a little bit difficult. So it's going to be interesting, but it looks like a really cool location. The difference between this and DNN Connect, for those people who you know, in North America, like you said, that attended the Florida event, the way they do it is it's not free, but it's I think the early bird registration is €225, but that includes when you register, you pay for it, but that includes all your lodging, meals, and the evening event that happens. So it's not, when you think about €225, that's a pretty good deal for 3 nights in a hotel, and all the food and drinks and whatever else. So that's not too bad.
Now, again, I have not been following the event too much, maybe just because I won't be going, but 28th, 29th, 30th, so 4 days? Is that 4 full days of activity there?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about Thursday. There was some tweet about something happening on Thursday, but I think but the hotel is Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, and it's 2 full days of sessions on Friday and Saturday, and then everyone's leaving on Sunday morning. I think it actually includes breakfast on Sunday morning as well. So yeah, it is 2 full days. So that's the other difference between DNN Con, which is truly that, well, they have a paid. I guess it's somewhat similar, but they have that paid Friday of a full all-day training, and then the free event on Saturday, this is more like just 2 days of sessions. Yeah.
Okay, that will be very interesting. I mean, we should do something. I mean, you should come back with a lot of information. We may want to do something special about that event. We'll think about that. Just came to mind.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. So again, if you are, I mean, on North America or Europe or whatever else, I mean, I'm sure that there will be people flying all over the place to that event, and they may have done it a bit harder to get there because only the people that really truly loves the event, those are the ones that are going to that event.
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
Oh, hey, you get to see Paris, though. Come on, I mean.
Nothing beats that, not.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, so again, we have DNN. I have a link here that, again, all those links that we're talking about will be posted in the video post as well, so no worries about that. Let me talk a little bit about the interviews that I have been doing so far. Actually, I'm more and more specializing on doing interviews than anything else. I did 2 interviews last month. One with Ian Sampson from Glanton Solutions. They are based in Australia. They do a lot of DNN integration with Active Directory. Great interview with him. I have worked with him in the past as well. Also, again, just quickly mention, I have done an interview with Will Morganweck. We spoke about his past with Active Modules, the acquisition, some funny stories that I had on our past, mine and his as well. And also, of course, focusing on the DNN Evoke 8 release. So check it out as well. Next interview that I'll be doing in about 2 weeks will be with Chad Nash from Data Springs. I mean, who's Data Springs? Data Springs is one of the most prolific module vendors out there. I mean, they have many different modules, and they have been on the DNN ecosystem forever now, as long as I remember. So again, it will be an interesting conversation that I'll be having with him in about 2 weeks. Last piece of news that I saw around, and again, that's not such a big news, but I think it's worth mentioning. I saw an interesting blog post from Ash Prasad. I think that Ash Prasad, he works for DNN Corp. He's
Yeah, he does.
I don't know if it's he's a
He's
developer.
the lead developer,
Lead
I guess.
developer.
He was one of the architects on the search, the 7.1 search revamp.
Got it. Okay, so again, a very good blog posting about using the SQL profiler to troubleshoot, to help you troubleshooting problems with your DNN installation. I have used SQL profiler quite a lot in the past, not a lot recently, but that's really a worth watch, a worth reading for anyone that needs to troubleshoot DNN, but from a deeper point of view. I mean, you need to want to dig deeper into the database, and that's a blog post for you. Scott was telling me about a meeting that he was not part of, but Chicago user group had last month. Scott, do you want to talk a little bit about that meeting?
Yeah, in fact, I just watched the recap. Normally what we've been doing, especially in the winter months, obviously when it's cold, no one wants to go out and travel, so we've been doing virtual meetings. And in January, they had invited Mitch Sellers and Malik, I think it's Malik Khan, I forget his last name, Malik Khan. They were talking, so Malik works for I think it's Point Click, I believe. I don't see it up here, but and then Mitch Sellers, of course, Iowa Computer Gurus. They were tasked with a project together from Malik from the hosting standpoint, and Mitch Sellers from the technical development standpoint of how to get a website from, I think it was like 500 concurrent users was all it was handling. It was a DNN site and they made it work with tens of thousands of concurrent users. So just methodically load testing it, making tweaks, both on the hardware side and on the software side, and they were able to get that kind of throughput. So yeah, it's the title of this meeting is called, or the title of their talk is called DNN Throughput. So it's now in a YouTube video that you could check out with links below that on the page that the link I'll give you. There's pages, links to Mitch's white papers that I always keep bookmarked. He's got a really good white paper on setting up DNN. Actually, I'm just reading it here. It said they scaled it from 2,000 users to 400,000 users. So, wow. But yeah, links to New Relic, Fiddler, Loadstorm, and all the tools that he used, and he kind of describes how he methodically went, where they started from with a horrible, I mean, even on a web farm setup, they were only getting, I think, 1,000 users per node or something like that, or maybe it was 4 web hubs and it was 500 users per node, and they were able to scale it up to a total of 400,000 users, so concurrent users. So pretty impressive.
That's great. That's great. I mean, that's great for anyone that is having performance problems with DNN, or I mean, that really want to scale their DNN website. I mean, I will check that one definitely.
Yeah, and I've done talks on it before. We do it at Bluebolt as well. We've had to do scalability assessments, and I learned a few new things from Mitch. So
Yeah, Mitch has always
really
something new to tell us, to teach us.
Right.
Perfect. So again, the link will be there. Quickly mention next DNN Hangout on March 4th. It will be about DNN and Azure, not sure. But yeah, I mean, whoever wants to run DNN and Azure should definitely check out that Hangout. It will be quite good. Talking about our own stuff here on DNN Hero, Scott has published a video about 2 weeks ago on iPortable. Scott, do you want to, again, mention a little bit about that one?
Yeah, rather than being, like we were talking about with the workflow API, rather than just being a dissertation on how to implement an interface, I take you through the practical side of what that means. I mean, obviously, I take you through how to scalably implement iPortable, how to scalably serialize your objects, but then also, how that would be used from an admin perspective when it comes to importing, exporting, using the module action menu, how it works in the page templates, things like that. So I think it's really useful, and I think it's something every DNN module developer needs to know about.
That's a great series. Again, it's already published and it's there. Scott, you also briefly mentioned about your next set there, which will be about workflows. Again, I guess you have already mentioned that.
I will have a working example. That'll be for March. It's taken me some time because it's uncharted, undocumented waters here. So I will have a working example of how to do workflow. Interesting. I don't know if you remember this, Adderson, but last year I did that. Do you remember that video I did, or that set I did on DNN notifications?
Oh,
that I plug into the notifications framework? Well, actually, the real-world example I did was building workflow into the module. So that'll be probably a prerequisite. But hopefully, but basically what I did was I used the DNN notification framework as a workflow mechanism for my module. But now I'll be doing it the correct way in 7.4. So this is cutting edge stuff, and you'll be the first to see it. I don't know if anybody, by the time I get this out there, I don't know if there'll be any other implementations of it. So this might be the only place you can get it.
Very good, very good. And again, the first thing that I realized when I saw the Hangout that talks about a workflow, I said, you know what, Scott has to create a video on that one, and he was already, it was already underway. Anyway, very, we were very in sync on that one. Okay, so I have been quiet for a while now. I have not been doing many videos lately, but just today in the morning, I have done a new video, and that was, I mean, I think it's really useful. Not that it wasn't by me, but I think it came from a real good suggestion from Steve Bugden from the UK. Steve is one of the members of DNN Hero. So he has requested, and the video is again about that. How can we run the source code of DNN? How can we download the source code of DNN, open that source code on Visual Studio, and run that code to do what? To make changes? No, not to make changes, but to understand how they have implemented things like, how to create a user, how to create a new page, how to delete the user, how to do things. And again, we keep you hear people saying that, use the DNN API, you leverage the DNN API, leverage this, but where can you find examples about how to use that code? Well, the obvious place to find examples about that is on the DNN code itself. But how do you get there? Well, to get to that level, then that's where the video came in. So the video will explain how you can set things up in your local environment, that you can run in your local environment, you can put a breakpoint on the code, then when you are running the website on the browser and you click on a button, it will stop, it will go back to the source code, and you can step into the code, you can see how things were done on DNN, and then you can leverage that on your own code. I mean, let's say that your code, you need to create a new user. So again, here's how you create a new user. Again, you have all of that on the DNN source code, and you just need to know how you can go about setting this up and having it running on your local environment. And that's what I have done today. It will be published by next week. So that was.
I can't wait to see that. Do you know who John Sheely is from Inspector IT?
Of course, yes.
Yeah. Well, I was in his last session in DNNCon, and that's how he advocated for module development, is to and if you saw some of my previous videos, I teach how to debug, and it's using the attach process. And Visual Studio 2013 is a little easier. They've got the reattach thing, which you can click a couple clicks and you've reattached your debugger. But yeah, that's what he advocates when he builds a new module, is he builds a solution with DNN source in the solution with his module, so that he can, when he has to, he can debug all the way through, you know, from his module into the API, into the core library, if he needs to know what's going on, you know, with his implementation.
Oh, you know, that's an interesting approach. I mean, I have never gone that far, but I mean, you know, to be honest, I mean, it's good that you see different perspectives from different developers and how they go about doing their development. And again, you pick one thing from one and one thing from another one, and all of a sudden you have your own way of doing things. Of course, you have some best practices, but at the end of the day, you always, you know, you always, I guess, adjust to suit your way of doing things. But that's an interesting way of which reminds me of that, you know, we used to have two different approaches of creating modules. You know, it was again, there were you know, forget about it, but there were two approaches. One, it was with compiled code. The other one was just you use DNN and source code too. But anyway, it's not that, but it's close enough to that.
Private assembly versus, you know, not dynamically compiled or whatever it was. Yeah.
So again, check this video out, and I guess I'd check. What is that you said? It's what is that from John?
I don't know if he published anything online about how he configures that, but I'll, you know, after this, I'll look to see if I can find it, then it'll appear on our article. But if not, then you know, fine. Just try to check out one of John Shealy's sessions, or maybe he wouldn't mind you emailing him.
Perfect.
Or tweeting at him.
Okay, so I won't be doing any modules, plugs, anything like that. I mean, do you have any plugs to do, Scott? I mean, we are on the 30 minutes mark. Any plugs?
No, yeah, you might have noticed on the store, the Bravo Squared, our Bravo search just kind of came out. So working on that one. That's my pet project there, or my project with Bravo Squared and Blue Bolt. So big price tag, $9,200 on that thing. So it's, you know, what we're trying to do is put enterprise products out there on the store, try to like raise the tide on that kind of thing, and we're not really competing with the, you know, $100, $200 modules. We're really competing with like Google Search Appliance, or people who just have no choice but to have to do an installation of Elasticsearch or some, or what was the other one? Yeah, I think it was Elastic or Fast or whatever it might be. But these very expensive search products are not only very expensive to license, but they're very expensive to implement. And so our Bravo product, we believe, is at an enterprise level, but at the same time, it's already plugs into DNN. So. But yeah, that's one. I think you noticed that we have a new Pack Flash update out there. Yeah, it's got some new things. I think we're doing custom sorting now on lists. I don't know if you know, now when you sort on your Pack Flash list, you only have certain options available. And we're opening that up to allow you to do sorting on custom attributes, which is cool, and some video enhancements and things like that. So that's pretty much it from our end.
Got it. I have used Pack Flash quite a lot, and I have a lot of clients that do use Pack Flash news publishing, and again, I personally love the module, so I'm always checking out what's going on there. Okay, Bravo Search, we should get a link to that as well, you know, on our post, Scott.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
Okay, so my last plug here, DeskPal. That's DeskPal. Okay.
Oh, you got shirts?
I have shirts. You know, I'm getting all fancy. You know, just want to quickly mention that we have 3 new spots. Actually, we only have 3 spots left before the end of this month, and this is real. This is true. I mean, this is not just market. This is not just market. It's a bit of marketing,
right,
but it's not just that. It's because we are really getting a tremendous response on Deskpal, on deskpal.com. And again, if you need support on DNN, if you need a helping hand with your DNN website, we are there. We are there for you. We are there to support you. So again, only 3 openings left.
Only 3 left.
Only
How
3
many
left.
were total?
And so we are adding at about 30 to 40 a month.
Okay.
So again, we are just making sure that we don't take too many people at once, so we are not able to support. So again, we are balancing that line very, very closely to make sure that we can attend the ones that are coming in well. And so that's the reason why we are opening and closing and creating a waiting list. And the next opening must be by mid towards the end of March. So again, have a look, check it out, deskpal.com, and that's my plug for the day. That's it from me. Scott, thank you very much, man.
Yeah, thank you. See you next month.
Bye now.
Bye.